Greetings and welcome to the Connect with Control-M webinar series. Today we will be featuring named pool and smart folder variables. I would like to welcome all our participants from around the world. I'm your host, Martin de Castongrene. I'm a technical support analyst, and I've been with Control-M distributed support for over 15 years, helping customers in the Americas region. Have you thought about using named pool or smart folder variables and wanted to know what the advantages were for each? If so, this presentation should be of interest. Let's begin by taking a look at our agenda. We will go over variables and show how smart folder and named pool variables fit into the variable family of Control-M. We will show the CTM Bar Utility and some of the new options we've added with version 9. We will go over a demo of how they can be set up and used in jobs and some useful information. Finally, we'll have a questions and answer session, which reminds me, during the presentation, please enter any questions you have in the Q&A panel. If they're addressed to everyone, we will be answering them at the end. I would like to mention at this time, Ronnie Cabrera's Connect with Control-M, where he went over Control-M variables and their properties and uses. This presentation builds on that to show the added features of the smart folder and named pool variables that we've added in version 9. All right, let's talk about the different types of variables now. This shows a comparison of the family of variables Control-M supports, and I'd like to compare and contrast them. To start with, local variables, they're used in a single job, and they're only scoped to that job. So when that job's done, you won't have access to it anymore, and other jobs within Control-M or the CTMBar Utility won't have access to it. Smart folder variables, they're similar to local, but they're scoped to the smart folder level and the defining job. So any jobs within that smart folder can access them, but it's not really going to be present to anything outside of them except the CTMBar Utility as well. Named pool variables are global variables that can be given prefixes, and you can use that as an organizational grouping and we'll show an example of that. Now let's see some more specifics on the new variable types. Smart folder variables are a middle ground between the full local and global variables. Smart folder variables, by comparison, are defined in a job in a smart folder and are limited in scope to be able to be created, modified, and read only by jobs in that particular smart folder. No jobs outside of the smart folder or the CTMBar Utility can read the smart folder scoped variables. And what about named pool variables? So named pool variables are global variables that can be grouped for more logical or application-oriented organization. They have a prefix and an actual variable name, the complete pairing of which is necessary in order to reference them. They can be accessed by anything that can reference them fully like any global, including the CTMBar Utility. So when would we use each of the variable types? The local variables is when the information is only going to be used in a single job. An example of that might be a path to an EXE that's only used once, and the information won't be needed globally by any other jobs, and so it can stay local. For the smart folder variables, this is when more than one job needs to use the information, but not perhaps all jobs. And then an example of a smart folder variable might be initial conditions that get passed that may be relevant to a particular job stream, but not going to be used outside of that job stream. And we'll show an example of where we're using smart folder variables to pass information. And the name pool, on the other hand, this would be when you need to group organizational information, and it might possibly be used by other jobs in the future. So if you ever want to expand the scope of it, it's a good idea to use the name pool variable. An example of this would be customer information. It's related to a particular customer, so the information could be read in once but used by multiple jobs and perhaps even reported on later. The global, this is information that can be seen by all jobs within a data center, so within a particular Control-M server. An example of this would be something that might be written once, but not necessarily updated a lot, like something like date would be good. Let's talk about the CTM Bar Utility. So we've added a couple things. We've added the dash pool option, and with that you can do actions on the named pool variables like list, view, and delete. And then the dash pool name, it's going to specify which pool you're acting on. Let's take the dash pool load option. I'd also like to point out allows you to load a set of pool variable, and that uses the standard CTMBar formatted file, and we'll be showing you that in the demo. This loading of the file using the pool load, if you're familiar with the libmem-sim functionality of the variable, you'll be familiar with that. And let's talk a little bit about our demo. So in our demo, we're going to be showing an abstract of two business applications that might be used after a sale. The first will take user input of a customer ID and read in the named pool variables based on that and do some inventory adjustments. The second will take a customer ID and generate a receipt. And let's examine the jobs there and show some details of the named pool variables. All right. All right. So let's go to planning, and I'll show you the two application jobs. And we've got the fulfillment post-sales ops. In that, we're going to, this is where we'll be passing in the customer ID. And from there, we're going to read in some named pool variables from a file. And then we're going to move on to the update inventory. From there, we're going to pass in some of the named pool variables on the command line that we just read in, and the same with the restock. So let's take a look at what we're doing in the process input, give you some more details on how to use the load exactly. So like I said, we're passing in the pool name, and then from there we're going to do the dash pool load, and then we're going to reference the dash pool name, which will create the pool, and then the full path to the name. And we're building up the file name from the customer ID we passed in as well. All right, so we've created services for these so that we can order them through self-service. So let's go ahead and run this first one using the first customer ID. And here we're going to order the service, and we're going to choose the fulfillment demo. We're going to order as an independent flow so we don't get any cross-condition effects. And then we're going to enter customer 1 as the ID, and we'll go ahead and order. So it's been ordered. Let's go back to the EMWA and take a look at that in the monitoring screen. Back in the monitoring domain. And let's go ahead and expand to all. And first, let's view the process input. From here, we can look at output, and we see the CTM var, the pool again, the load, the pool name, and we see where it replaced the smart folder variable that we had passed in with the ID we passed in. And then it performed the load successfully. And then the next job was going to operate on that information. So let's take a look at its properties. And from here, it actually did, so what we were doing was we were passing in the pool name with the SKU number and the item count. So from there, let's take a look at the output. And as we see, the SKU number, let me give you a second to review the output. All right, and then we see that the SKU number got passed in as well as the item count. And so from here, it would pass it to the restock order, and the output will look somewhat similar in that we've passed in the SKU number and the order count. And I'd like to also show you the CTM Bar utility from here. And so let's do the CTM var. If we just run it by itself, it'll give you the usage. And then if we do the full list, let me give you a second to do that. We'll see that we created the pool, and then we can actually do the dash pool with the view name, and this will enable you to see all the variables within that pool. In this case, SKU number, the item count, and the price. All right, so let's take a look at, and then we're going to go ahead and order that one again. So let's go back to the self-service where we've got the services set up. And we're going to order it with the second customer ID. So we're still using the fulfillment. And then we'll go ahead and order this one. It was ordered successfully, as we see. And let's go to the EMWA, where we will take a look at the, go ahead and expand this, and let's take a look at the output of the process input. This is where we're reading in the named pool variables again, but with a new ID. So in this case, customer 2, and we should have another customer 2 named pool created. And then we're going to let update inventory operate on the new information based on that. And sure enough, different SKU number. And same with restock. All right. So let's also go ahead and check the CTM var and see the second named pool and its items. So we are showing that we've now got 2 named pools created, and let's go ahead and view the items within that. So sure enough, you see the new SKU number and the new price. All right, let's go back to our EN Load Automation client. And from here, let's go back to planning and take a look at the receipt application. And so within here, I'd also like to show one thing. Let's go ahead and do the properties. In order to create named pools, you would go to the variable section, you go to add, and within the drop downs, you now have the named pool option. So for named pool, you could give it a pool name. We're just going to call this pool, and then you'd give it a variable name. So in this case, var_1. So then, and then you can give it an initial value. And then what I'd like to point out here is that CTM, the way you'd reference this from, because it is a global, from anything from the command line, any job that wants to use this in the command line would be %% \\\, followed by the pool name, \, and then var_1 in this case, or whatever variable you were using from that particular named pool. All right, just wanted to point that out. So in this demo, we're going to be passing in a customer ID. In the process input, we're actually going to be running the date command, and then we're creating two smart folder variables, smart folder date, smart folder time, and within the actions tab, we'll be doing a data capture off of the date command. This could be off any command, but in this particular case, this has the information we want. So we're capturing that there. I'll also give you a link to a solution video if you want more information on data capture. So after that's captured, we'll call the receipt timestamp, which will generate a receipt. And shown there, as well as the timestamp verify, which in this case we're using the CTM STVAR, and with the system variable order ID and the smart folder variable that we want to reference. All right, so let's go. We've also have this one set up as a service. So let's go to the self-service and go ahead and order this one, passing in our parameter. And here under order service, we're going to choose the receipt and go ahead and give it a customer. And here's our demo ordered. And let's go back to the workload automation client. And from here, we'll check out monitoring. And we'll go ahead and expand all. Our process input was able to read it in. And let's take a look at the receipt timestamp. And we see the SKU number, the price, and the day and time. All right. So, and then let's take a look at the STVAR output. From here, we're passing in the STVAR with the, and then we see it resolves the order ID and gives us the time. So let's go back to the command line, and we'll show the pool delete functionality. So for cleanup purposes, you can either, let's check out the name pool list again. And here we see we've got customer 1 and customer 2. And let's take a look at the delete command. So we were able to delete 2, which means that our list should show that is no longer, 2 is no longer present. And let's see. So when would you use the delete? Since these are globals, that would be when nothing else is done. Everything else is done using them. If nothing else is going to use them, you can do it at the end of your job stream. I didn't because I wanted to show it here, but there you go. And all right. One other thing I wanted to point out. So there's the action section, and you'll notice we've got the load, set, delete, and list here, as well as for the pool. The difference being the dash action is for the smaller global variables that are just referenced by the %, and the pool named pool variables are the ones that are referenced with the %, / pool name / variable name. All right, and let's go back to some useful information here. And so a data that's returned from CMs, that should be like CM for SAP or CM for web services. That information should be parked in local variables and before being transferred to name pool or smart folder variables. And you can do that in the Actions tab or in post-processing. The smart folder variables can be defined in the jobs of smart folders as well as in the smart folder itself. In the case of smart folder, you won't see a smart folder reference, but anything that's called local will by default be made into a smart folder variable and can be used like that by anything in the smart folder itself. All right. Ronnie Cabrera did a Connect with Control-M for Variables presentation, and here's the YouTube link for that. It's quite useful. And then the data capture solution I discussed, putting data from the output of jobs into variables, can be found at this link. All right. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to attend this Connect with Control-M presentation. I hope the information provided was useful. You will be receiving a survey at the end of the webinar. We encourage you to please fill it out and provide feedback on anywhere we can improve, any future topics you'd like to see. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Our past webinars can be viewed on BMC Communities, on YouTube, and you can even download from iTunes.